and welcome to the Two Gals and a Mic podcast. I'm your host, Sue Kerber, and today's episode marks a very special milestone. When I set out to do this project, my intention was to interview 50 amazing women before I turned 50 in December. Well, here we are, and it's December, and today's episode marks the 50th one. So to celebrate, I'm sitting down with 11-year-old Kennedy Miller, who told me back in July that she wanted to be on the podcast because she wanted to share her perspectives as a younger person. I think there's a lot of value in that. So, Kennedy, thanks for joining me and for sharing your thoughts and ideas.
Thank you for having me on the podcast.
Let's start with some fun stuff about you. Why don't you share a little bit about yourself? Maybe tell us about your favorite hobbies, things you love to do, and what makes you totally unique and awesome.
I like basketball and I really enjoy doing skincare and self-care. And I think what makes me unique is I care a lot about people and I have a really big heart for people and I'm always there for people and they just like how I understand them a lot.
So tell me a little bit more about having a big heart for people. What does that look like with your friends?
I always comfort them when they need it and I'm there for them and I always make sure they're okay and ask what they're going through and if they want to talk about that or not.
Do you think that that's pretty unique as an 11-year-old, or do you find that a lot of your friends do that too?
I find that a few of my friends do it, but some of my other friends can be a bit distant sometimes.
And that's got to be hard, I'm sure, if they're a bit distant. How does it make you feel when your friends do that for you, when they give you a listening ear and when they're there for you?
It makes me feel more cared for and loved. It makes me think that they're really thoughtful and they actually care about me and what I'm going through and they don't judge.
Yeah, that's pretty important. Kennedy, you said that you also like basketball. Do you play basketball?
I'm starting in January.
Do you have a position on the team that you want to play?
I kind of like playing all positions. There's not one really specific for me that I enjoy better.
Any of them will work, right? When you
Yeah,
start in January? Okay. Well, I mentioned in the introduction that back in July, when we were at a picnic, you mentioned that you wanted to be on this podcast. Why is being here today and talking with me on the Two Gals and a Mic podcast so special? What made you excited about coming on?
getting to talk about things that are going on as a middle schooler and 11-year-old and getting to teach some other women about stuff.
You said getting to talk about things as a middle schooler. What do you want to talk about?
Bullying, there's a lot of that going on in school, I guess.
Well, I was going to ask you a question about that a little bit later, but let's talk about that now. So, bullying, it seems like, is something that a lot of kids deal with, both in person and online. And I can tell you, when I was growing up, there was bullying in person, but we didn't have the online thing. We didn't have social media. We didn't have TikTok, if you can believe that. What has your experience been like with bullying? Do you think it's a big issue?
Sometimes it depends on what you're saying to someone, and I guess a lot of girls point out other girls' insecurities, and that can hurt a lot of girls, and it's hard for them to handle.
Have you had any personal experiences with bullying?
There's some girls that point out my insecurities, and I guess I just have a hard time with that, but I also tell myself that I'm me and they're them, and I am proud of myself for who I am. They're just making their self look bad.
Do they do that in person or do they do it online, or have you had both things happen?
In person.
Mhm. Do you confront them or anybody that bullies? Like, how do you handle it?
I kind of just tell them that I don't really care about their opinion because I understand that I am perfect the way that I am and they can just focus on themselves and not worry about me.
And Kennedy, what's their reaction when you say that because that's a pretty powerful statement to say, I am perfect the way that I am.
They kind of just like walk away or say like sorry. After I've like said that to someone, I haven't had them say it to me again.
So is it just girls that are bullies, or have you had any experience with boys being bullies too?
Not to me and not to my friends.
Do you spend any time online? Do you have social media? Is that a thing for you?
Yeah, but I don't really get hate comments and stuff.
How about your friends? Do you know of anybody who has? And how, if so, how have they dealt with it?
I think only a few of my friends have social media and they don't get hate comments. So
That's a good thing. So you kind of already mentioned it, but what advice would you give to somebody who's being bullied, whether it was a friend of yours or maybe even somebody you didn't know that well if you heard about it?
I just say they could just be basing their insecurities on yours and trying to bring you down. As women, we should try to build each other up. Some people don't really understand that.
So do you do that? Do you build people up?
Yes.
How do you do it?
A lot of my friends appreciate little compliments. They go a long way for them. So I tell them that their outfit's really cute or they look really pretty today. I kind of just try to like point things out, whether they're small or big, and they really appreciate it.
How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel pretty good because then they will be more encouraged to do that to other girls too.
Oh, I love that so much. And I think that's so important to start those habits at your age. I mean, how powerful that is to help other people feel good instead of bullied. In that vein, this podcast is all about celebrating women who are doing really cool things and really inspiring things. When you think of someone who's pretty extraordinary, who comes to mind? Why, in your opinion, is that person extraordinary?
My mom or my nana, I think they're really extraordinary because they work very hard to provide for us and they always care. They care in a different way that other people don't. They work hard and they provide and they go out of this world to do things for us and to be there for us.
You said that they both care in a different way that other people don't. Besides the things you just talked about, what's the concrete thing that your mom does that shows you that she cares for you in a way that maybe other people don't?
She like is always there for me when I need her. Some of my friends can't always be there and my mom always is super loving to all of us kids and she has good patience for us.
So, Kennedy, how many kids are there?
Me, my brother, and my older brother.
So, three kids. Your mom's dealing with three of you.
Yes.
Okay. How about your Nana? Tell us a little bit about your Nana.
She works really hard for everything she has. She works and she has a therapy dog, so she takes time to go to libraries and have kids read to Harper, is the dog's name. She just takes time out of her day to make other people happy. And I see how much the kids enjoy it at the library, and it makes me really happy that she can do that.
So, you have two very strong, extraordinary female role models in your life. You have your mom, and you have your Nana. Do you think it's important for young women to have these kinds of role models? And if so, why?
Yes, I do because I feel like other women could look up to their women and it would help a lot for building other women up and making them enjoy life more.
So, speaking of role models, besides your mom and your Nana, who are obviously very important role models for you, is there another girl or a woman in your life who really inspires you right now? And if so, how has she made a difference in your life?
One of my friends, she's my best friend and she's always there for me. She always builds my confidence up. I guess she just is there for me when I need her and she's never really mean to me and she's very thoughtful. She like cares a lot.
You've talked a lot, Kennedy, about having friends or running in circles with other young women who build up your confidence. You're nice to each other. You say kind things to one another. How have you met these people? And how do you figure out who you want to have in your circle of friends?
I've met them at school, and if I was invited to a friend's birthday party and they had like people I didn't know, I would like meet them, I guess, and then we would become really good friends. I get to know them a bit more. I guess I just see if there's someone I want to keep in my life or if they're gonna like stay there through everything.
Have you had people who haven't stayed in your circle? Have you had to tell people that you can't be friends any longer? And if so, how did you do that? Because that seems like it would be a really hard thing to do, especially if you're going to school with them every day and seeing them all the time.
I have had to do that with two people. I just told them that if they're going to be mean to me and not care for me like they should, then they're not really worth my time. And I don't really want someone in my life like that if they're going to treat me like that.
Kennedy, that's an extraordinary amount of confidence, which I love and admire and respect. Where do you get this confidence from to stand up for yourself, to speak up for yourself, and to know your worth?
My mom, really, she's shown me that I have a lot of worth and a lot of confidence. I guess she just understands me in a deeper level.
As mom should, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, let's talk about meeting some other people. So, we've talked about people whom you currently have in your life, some amazing role models, apparently, some amazing, wonderful friends. If you could meet any woman, past or present, who would it be and why would you pick her?
I would pick Jane Goodall because she inspires me so much. A few years back, I did a presentation on her, and the things I learned about her inspired me so much because she does so much for chimpanzees, and I think that's just so inspiring.
Let's paint the picture. You're in the forest. Jane is out there. She's with the chimpanzees. You have all of these apes around, and you walk up to Jane. Kennedy, what do you say to her?
I would want to ask how she's been and how she can provide for the chimpanzees and like apes and stuff. I would just ask what got her into that and how she does so much for them.
What do you think she would tell you?
I think she would tell me that it's just something she enjoys a lot. Just say that she like cares about them a lot, so she wants to help them and provide for them.
So you said that she has inspired you. Is that in a professional way? Is that something that you're thinking about for your future? Or is it just the feeling inspired because of how much compassion she has for animals?
It's just feeling inspired because of how much compassion she has for them.
So, what about your future? Have you thought about what you want to do professionally?
I want to be a nurse because I see how much my mom cares about her patients and she can just make someone's day. And I just want to be able to do that and care about people like that.
Well, it sounds like you have the heart for it. We've been talking a lot about caring, caring with your friends, caring with your family, caring with animals. Let's ask a fun question, Kennedy. Let's switch gears for just a second. I'm curious to know if you could have any superpower in the whole wide world, what would your superpower be and what would you do with it?
I think I would choose teleportation so I can be where I need to be and with the people I want to be whenever I want.
So, is that what you would do? You would just kind of bop around and go just be with your friends or be with your family or be with your Nana or wherever you need to be?
Yeah,
So, with teleportation, can you go to different times and different places?
yeah,
Would you do that?
yeah.
Do you have a favorite time that you would wanna go, maybe past or future?
I don't know. I kind of just would like want to go in the past to meet these inspiring people that we still talk about to this day.
Or you could teleport and go meet Jane and the chimpanzees and ask her your questions.
Yeah,
I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast that you're 11, and I would imagine that being 11 or 12 can be hard sometimes, like we've already talked about. You have mentioned that you're very confident in who you are, and you've mentioned that you are perfectly made. But what challenges have you had with people understanding that?
A lot of people have judged my style or my looks. People just say I should be wearing jeans to school, like something nicer, or some girls like tighter clothes.
So, are you wearing like sweatpants or something like that?
I usually wear sweats or PJs, and then like one day in the week I'll wear jeans.
And so you find that it's hard to fit in because of your fashion choices?
Yeah, some girls judge by fashion.
Why do you choose the fashion choices that you do?
I kind of just feel more comfortable in them and more myself.
Is it a function thing? Is it just easier to do things with wearing them, or you just feel more comfortable?
Kind of both.
You know, Kennedy, when I was your age, I wanted to fit in. I think that's kind of a thing when you're in middle school, wanting to fit in with certain groups or be like other kids. But as I got older, what I realized is it's important to be exactly who I am. And you've already said this. So I feel like you're ahead of the curve. How do you see at school people handling peer pressure or feeling like they have to fit in?
I just see most girls don't care what the other girls say about their outfits. They wear what they want, they just be who they want. But other girls will like tell them that they should wear tighter clothes or nicer clothes or stuff like that. I think some girls just kind of brush it off. I know my friends tell themselves that they're perfect just the way they are, and their fashion choice is their fashion choice, and the other person can't choose that for them.
So, how about things besides fashion? Is there any pressure to be certain ways? Like, I know when I was younger, we had the people who played sports, and then we had the people who maybe did theater and drama. You know, we had all of these different groups. Is there pressure to fit in?
Not really. Girls and boys don't really care about that stuff. They like just let people be who they want to be. Some girls just care more about what people wear for fashion.
Let's talk about your last year. We're in December. It's the end of 2024. We're kind of closing things out and we're looking forward to a new year. What's been the most exciting or the happiest thing that has happened to you recently?
Making new friends.
Did you make a lot of new friends this year?
Yeah, people from other schools came into my school, and I just think I click with a lot of people.
So, what impact has that had on you?
It has made me feel like more people care about me, more people are there.
Well, let's talk about the hardest thing that you've had to deal with this last year. It's not always easy, right, Kennedy? There's got to be ups and downs. What's been the hardest thing that you've had to deal with, and how did you get through it?
The hardest thing is I lost my cat, and she was really, really special to me.
How did you deal with that?
Kind of just told myself that she's going to a happier place and she'll feel better and she won't have to like suffer.
So I know that pets are really special. You mentioned your Nana's dog, Harper, who goes to the library. And I know that you have dogs and you've met my dog, Meatball. So pets have a really special place in our life. What made your cat so special?
She was kind of like an emotional support animal for me. She was always there trying to like cheer me up and be goofy when I was sad or feeling down.
So what do you do now that she's gone?
I tell myself that I'm going to be okay and I think about her.
Yeah, that's tough. We lost a cat this year too. It was hard for sure. But like you said, you tell yourself she's in a better place. And then
Yeah,
you have dogs too, right?
yes. One of my dogs is a mix and his name is Edgar. And then we have two girls, Sammy and Nikita, and they're all pretty goofy.
So you've got 3 dogs, you have 2 brothers,
And four cats.
and you have 4 cats?
Yes.
Oh my goodness, that is a lot going on.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, so we just talked a little bit about this past year. Let's talk about the future. So, Kennedy, when you think about your future, tell us about your dreams.
I just want to pursue my dream of becoming a doctor, and someday I want to start my own family.
Do you want to have kids
Yeah, probably like 2 or 3.
and 4 cats and lots of dogs?
Yes.
That's fantastic. What about travel? Is there any place that you'd like to travel to?
I've always wanted to travel to Paris or New York.
Why those two places?
I think they would both be a very great experience to go to. They both have very beautiful things in them that I just want to see.
If you were to go to New York, what are your top 2 or 3 things that you'd like to see and experience?
I guess I would just want to see the city and eat their pizza and have fun there with the people I'm with.
Well, how about Paris? Because Paris is a very, very different city than New York.
I would want to go to the Eiffel Tower and eat some of their food. I guess just enjoy time with the people I'm with.
That's a common theme. Enjoy time with the people that you're with.
Yeah.
Well, I assume that some of those people would be adults. And so let's talk for just a minute, Kennedy, about adults. What is one thing that you wish that adults really understood about being almost 12 years old?
A lot of people just want to be out and have fun with friends, or they want to be on the phone talking to friends a lot. Us kids really enjoy being with friends and family.
So, is there anything in particular that you feel like adults just don't get about people your age?
We're just really addicted to phones, I guess.
Addicted to talking to each other on the phone or addicted to social media and TikTok? Or what do you mean by that?
Both social media and talking to people and just being social.
So, Kennedy, what's your opinion on social media? Do you feel like it hurts you or do you feel like it's value added? Is it a good use of your time?
Sometimes it depends what app I'm on.
Well, let's talk about that a little bit more. What do you mean sometimes? Is there a better app than others?
Some of it just kind of rots your brain. I watch TikTok and it doesn't really rot my brain that much.
What about all the TikTok challenges that are out there and all of the things that people put on social media to maybe make you feel not as good about yourself?
I think people could be more kind, and some of those challenges people shouldn't be putting it online because then other people might get hurt doing them.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of truth to that for sure. Well, let's talk about advice. And we've kind of talked about a little bit about this, and you mentioned this at the beginning. I love to ask about advice and words of wisdom. So I'm going to ask you if you could give your best advice to other girls your age who might be struggling with fitting in or with being bullied or with people not being kind or any of those things that we have talked about, what would you say to help those girls?
I have some friends that struggle with that, and I always tell them that they are perfect the way they are, and some people are just basing their insecurities off of you or onto you, and that they just should just be their self and not listen to what the other people are saying.
Because I love your words of wisdom and I think you have a lot of really important things to say. Let's do a second piece of advice. If you could give advice to parents or to adults about how to support kids your age, what would that advice be?
Ooh, this is a tough one. Probably to just try their best to have patience with their kids, stay intact, and try to make sure they're okay. A lot of parents focus on their kids, but focus on their emotions.
So, what's the advice? To be patient?
Yeah, to be more patient and also be more understanding.
Well, Kennedy, we've talked a lot about compassion. We've talked a lot about being kind, about building each other up. You've mentioned several times in this conversation about the importance of understanding that you're perfect the way that you are and helping other people within your circles or other people who may be struggling understand that about themselves as well. So, any closing thoughts for us today, Kennedy?
Be confident in who you are and build each other up.
Well, thank you, Kennedy, for joining us on the 50th episode of the Two Gals and a Mic podcast. It was so much fun chatting with you and hearing your perspectives. And listeners, as always, thank you for tuning in. Next week, I will post the very last episode in this series where I will be joined by a very special friend who asked to interview me. So be sure to join us for the conclusion of the Two Gals and a Mic podcast. I'll see you then.